Americans up. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. So Comic-Con was this past weekend, and I know I'm a little late getting this video out, but usually when I do a retrospective video like this, or when I look back on things that were revealed in large bulk, I tend to wait a little while. I know that puts me behind everybody else, but I try and compile as much information as I can before I just start putting stuff out there. Without a doubt, the winner, if there was a winner, the winner of Comic-Con was the Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified team. The stuff that we're going to talk about today, the reveals, some of the surprises they came up with, it was amazing. I loved it. I almost wish I was there. Comic-Con isn't something that I have normally been like, oh, gotta go see it, gotta go see it. But this time, it would have been really cool to be there for the things we're going to talk about today. But before we get started on that, let me just say to all of the Star Wars vintage collectors watching this, congratulations on the Ghost. As of the time of this recording, that HasLab has been funded and a little bit over. I don't doubt that it's going to hit all of the tiers, and I have to admit, even though I'm not a Star Wars vintage line collector, that is one heck of a ship you guys are going to be getting. So congratulations with that, and I really do hope that everybody who wants one can get one, because that thing looks amazing. Now, back to the reason that we're here, the San Diego Comic-Con G.I. Joe reveals. And before we get to anything else, let's talk about Chuckles. Chuckles was, as you know, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. They didn't do what they did last year, where with Dr. Mindbender, people were just throwing out the QR code web page, and people who weren't at Comic-Con were able to get it. This time you had to actually get the QR code, plus to take you to the website where you could order, but you also had a one-time use code that you had to put in, and then you were able to buy it. So they couldn't just, pirate it out there like they did last year. Unfortunately, there has been no word on if Chuckles is going to be released to the general public or if he's going to be re-released at PulseCon. I don't see why he wouldn't if they follow suit, and they typically do. If they follow suit with what they did last year with Dr. Mindbender, Chuckles may be available at PulseCon coming up in September, but they haven't said yay or nay to that yet. I honestly don't see the team not making Chuckles available in some way, shape, or form. They've been really good to try and get figures in collectors' hands, even with the fiasco that was the Cobra Island exclusives when the Classified line started. I don't know if you've noticed, but one figure by figure, they've slowly been like ticking the boxes to get those Cobra Island exclusive figures into collectors' hands in one way, shape, or form. Like we're getting a new Firefly. They came out with the Viper 3-pack so that you could get the Vipers if you didn't get it when it was a Cobra Island exclusive. The only one I feel like they haven't hit yet is Major Blood. But I wouldn't be surprised if coming down the line at some point, we'll see a reissue of Major Blood. So they've been really aware of getting things into people's hands, making sure collectors can get the figures they want. And I don't doubt that if we don't get the version of Chuckles that was released for San Diego Comic-Con with all of the bits and kibble, that we'll get some sort of standard Classify release where it's basically just the figure, his accessories, maybe the Soundwave tape deck, but he won't have the dossier, he won't have the additional head, the beat-up head, he won't have the lay. I just don't feel like they're going to leave us hanging with that one. Now, the other exclusive that they talked about is the Crimson Strike Team 3-pack that includes the Baroness and Tomax and Xamot, the Crimson Twins. Now, if we take a look at this, I know there are a lot of people that are really excited about this. For me, this never really did anything, even when it was in the 3 3/4 line. Baroness, I feel, should only be in blue or black, and Tomax and Xamot, while they were called the Crimson Twins, I'm not real big on this look for them. I do understand that there are a lot of people that are excited about this, and I'm not putting the pack down. And as a matter of fact, I'll probably get one myself just because. But I don't feel like, for me anyway, this is a must-have. Although I do have to admit that now with the release of the Crimson Vipers, I know there are some images floating around from like the old Venom versus Valor, and I forget when the Crimson Strike team was real big, but where it was like the three of them, Tomax, Xamon, and Baroness, and they were just surrounded by Crimson Vipers. So with the Crimson Vipers coming out, this will kind of complete that look for the collectors. I've ordered a Crimson Viper, but I'm just ordering one, and that's once again just because like I'm totally a sucker for anything that this line puts out. So that Crimson Strike Team 3-pack, don't know what the cost is going to be on it, but we do know it is going to be a PulseCon exclusive coming up in September. Now, in addition to that, they did some name-only reveals, which there's some excitement in this for a number of reasons. First of all, we're getting a Classic Duke, and we're getting a Classic Scarlet. And we knew we were going to get a Classic Scarlet when we saw Glenda released for the HasLab Dragonfly. I just didn't think we were going to get her this quickly. Now, Classic Duke and Classic Scarlet, because they're going back to plastic packaging, these are going to be on that classic card back packaging that we had for the Walmart exclusives. Now, they said they've learned their lesson, that it's going to be on a thicker stock card back, so it won't bend and it won't warp out of shape like the previous ones did, which is very cool. I'm very excited about that. Now, also, when I was looking around, watching these videos, reading some things on social media, I picked up that somebody said that they believe these new classic cardback figures are no longer going to be a Walmart exclusive, that the Night Force releases have kind of taken place of that. I couldn't find anything to confirm that, but if anybody does know specifically whether or not those will no longer be Walmart exclusives, please let me know in the comments below. It would be really cool if those weren't Walmart exclusives anymore, because my Zartan, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, and Crimson Guard have been on a delayed status since the last Walmart Collector Con when they were released, and I don't even know at this point if I'm even going to get mine. So I would really love, especially with Classic Scarlet, if these were no longer Walmart exclusives and we could just get them wherever we wanted. Classic Duke, I'm actually kind of surprised about, and I'm guessing he's going to look more like, or he's going to be more like the Duke from the Tiger Force Ram, because he has the classic rifle. They'll just have to give it a repaint. I'm going to be honest, I really didn't think there was anything wrong with the original Duke we got at the beginning of the line, especially after they made the one with the blacked out the gunmetal boots and got rid of a lot of that gold. I really didn't think that Duke needed a refresh. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the classic Duke. Another name-only reveal was Torch, one of the Dreadnoks, which is really exciting, and we will talk about that when we get the Dreadnoks more when we get into the digital renders. But then the last name-only reveal, on a personal note, because this is a figure I have been wanting for a while, she is long overdue, we're getting Jinx. That's going to be cool. We can fill out our ARAH clan. We got Storm Shadow, we got Jinx, then we'll have Snake Eyes. Those three together is going to be awesome. Can't wait to see what this figure looks like. I hope they really do something great with this. I liked Jinx. I always like getting the ninjas. I really like Jinx in the vintage line because her costume was red, and that matched up with the red ARAH ninja from the comic. So that all matched up very nice. I really like that. Really looking forward to that one. Now, getting on to the digital renders, there's not a whole lot here we didn't know wasn't coming. For example, let's get these two out of the way first. We have Python Patrol Copperhead and we have Python Patrol Cobra Officer. We kind of knew Copperhead was coming. I didn't expect a second release of the Cobra Officer, but other than the paint deco matching up more with the original Cobra Officer from the 3 3/4 line, I'm not entirely sure what is really different about this. I'll be honest, I haven't taken a look at it. I haven't taken a look at it much. Let me pull the image up. I have them on the computer here. So he has the original deco from the 3 3/4 line. He has the AK, he has the pistol, he has the 2 head sculpts and goggles, which is really cool as well. Because as far as like army building with that goes, if you're into army building Python Patrol, that's going to be really cool. So you can give your Cobra troopers, Cobra officers different looks. The only thing he's missing that I thought, oh no, he does. He even has the armband. So this is going to be a really cool figure. This is going to be a really cool army builder that like you can just buy the same figure and you can get multiple different looks out of it. Because you can see right there on his left arm, he has the armband, he has the 2 head sculpts, he has the goggles. That'll be really cool. I don't army build Python Patrol, but I know people that do, and that's going to be a big, big thing for them. I have no doubt about it. The another digital render we saw was General Hawk. And we knew it was coming. I know a lot of people thought that he was going to come out with the Dragonfly. I didn't really see that happening. I didn't think it made much sense for him to come out with the Dragonfly, but I'm really glad to see him coming out on his own. And this figure looks great with that bomber jacket. He has that old school army helmet on. You can even see some gray in his hair. Everything looks great. He has 2 different sets of goggles. Now his weapon choices are interesting to me. He has 2 pistols. It looks like he has a 1911 and maybe something more modern like a SIG. I'm not entirely sure. Then he has a combat shotgun and he has Gung Ho's grenade launcher. I don't know why he would be toting that thing around, but I'm not going to complain for them giving us more weapons that we can like kit out to other figures. That's going to be real cool, especially if you weren't able to get the Walmart card back classic Gung Ho. You have the original Gung Ho that came out. You can give that to him and get your Gung Ho closer to what the vintage figure looked like. Either way, having those extra weapons, give them to whoever you want. That's really cool. We also had Helix come up, and I'll be honest, other than what she has done in the like the last years of the IDW series when I was reading it, I don't know much about this character other than she completely kicks butt. And I really like what she was doing in the final pages of the IDW run. So it's really cool that we got this. I always like a martial arts character. I always like a ninja-like character. Her weapon choices look really cool. She has the twin katanas. She has those blades that I guess she's going to wear on her wrists, dual pistols, and a big Horkin, like, looks like Gurkha knife or something. Like, she's armed and she's ready to dance. And that is going to look fantastic on the shelf. What else do we got? Oh, here's one that I was really excited about. Like, I knew he was coming. We had heard the name, but to actually see him, Shockwave. Shockwave looks fantastic. I loved Shockwave when I was a kid. I loved the color. I loved that he was just sort of like this urban combatant, SWAT team. I really dug his 3 3/4 figure where he had like the suppressed MAC-10 with the extending stock. He had the backpack and he had that huge knife that fit in the backpack that was kind of like a really big version of a K-bar. In this, he has the knives. He has 2 knives actually. He has a nightstick. He has twin, it looks like twin MAC-10s, and he actually looks like he has twin holsters that he can holster the MAC-10s, but then he also has that riot shield, and that riot shield is awesome, and that's going to come in real handy when he's going up against the Alley Vipers. Shockwave looks great. He has the digital camo on it, and I really like on that riot shield how he has like the Cobra logos with the lines through him, like he's ticking off how many Cobras he took down or how many like successful ops he had. I don't know, it's just this figure is what I really like about Classified, that it's like a fantastic look at a classic figure with a bit of an update to it as far as like gear and look. I'm talking specifically about the digital camo. I think this looks great. I can't wait to get my hands on this one. And then when we talked about Torch in the name only reveals, and I said we would talk about the Dreadnoks later, that time has come because we got Buzzer and we got Ripper. And Ripper I am really happy about. Ripper was the first Dreadnok that I had. I love that gnarly machine gun with that like big scythe-like bayonet that he has coming off of it, the jaws of life that he has for just like ripping things open and like busting his way into vehicles, into vaults, Buzzer with his chainsaw, and that big sling blade on the chain. Let me bring this up. He has that big sling blade going on. I think that is awesome. And he has, I love how he has the axe too. How it looks like he took a circular saw blade, cut it in half, and attached it to a baseball bat and made like a battle axe. Like the look of the Dreadnoks, where it's just like they're just making weapons out of stuff. I totally dig what they're doing with the Dreadnoks. The Dreadnoks did not need an update. They're total punkers. I love it. I can't wait to get them. I can't wait to see Torch, and I can't wait to see the rest of the Dreadnoks, because we know we got to be getting more Dreadnoks other than just these three. I'm actually surprised they didn't hold off and release the Dreadnoks, Ripper, Buzzer, and Torch as a 3-pack, kind of like what they did with the Crimson Strike team. Kind of surprised about that. Now, the next two we're going to talk about, they were supposed to be in the name-only reveals. As a matter of fact, they were announced during the name-only reveals at San Diego Comic-Con, but they had renders of them anyway, and we're going to take a look at them. And the first one we're going to take a look at is the SMS with the Techno-Viper. And this is cool, because this is what I think everybody was expecting for a unlockable tier for the Hiss tank, because the Hiss tank has the hook on it, and you can just tow this behind the Hiss tank. I also like how the Techno-Viper comes with it, that he's in red, black, and gray colors of the Hiss tank and the Hiss drivers and the Hiss commanders. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about why that's important in a second. But the other thing about this is that the SMS, that means Century Missile System, this was a repaint of a G.I. Joe vehicle, G.I. Joe piece, and it was released as, I think, a Sears exclusive with a red Hiss tank. So it makes sense that they released this, the Hiss tank can tow it. But what I'm also hoping is that eventually they will repaint this in all green, release it as the MMS, the Mobile Missile System for G.I. Joe, because the figure that came with this was the one that I was talking about during the Dragonfly HasLab, and that is Colonel Hawk. And it would be cool if they did this and they released like a classic looking Colonel Hawk figure before he went all gray, when he was wearing just like fatigues, kind of like what the Commando Snake Eyes and Stalker figure had. Like, you could totally use that buck to make a general or a Colonel Hawk for it. That would be really cool. And I don't doubt that eventually we will get a repaint of this as the Mobile Missile System, because that takes us to the next reveal that I think was the total sweetheart of the G.I. Joe Classified panel, and that is the Vamp with Clutch. This is getting a regular retail release. This is going to be for sale. We don't know the price on it. I'm guessing it's going to be between $100, $125, maybe $150. This is going to be like a no bells and whistle vehicle with Clutch for sale at retail, and it's the Vamp, and this looks awesome. And this blew my freaking mind. Like, we knew vehicles were coming, but I honestly thought that like the vehicles that we were going to get, the SMS doesn't surprise me, because that's pretty basic. But to get the Vamp, I thought like the vehicle that was released was going to be something along the lines of like the Mirage motorcycle to go with the Ram motorcycle, or maybe even like, I don't know, like a Fang, like the little gyrocopter from Cobra. I don't know. The Claw would have been another one I would have guessed. Ferret, not the Vamp. And this is great, because if you take a look at the Vamp, the original Vamp sort of had like that laser turret look to it, whereas this does have like that laser muzzle to it, but it fades back into like a belt-fed machine gun, like a Ma Deuce or something. And you can even see the handles where somebody would hold on to it and fire, which makes me wonder if there's going to be like a place to put your figures, if there's going to be a running board at the back where instead of the Top Gun being controlled from the inside, like the original toy, the vintage toy was set up to be, if there would be a place to stand a figure on the outside so that he's manning the machine gun like an old Jeep or something. That would be really cool. I'm really excited about this because when we did Rock and Roll, I just said we needed Clutch. We needed Clutch to put him with Rock and Roll. So now we're getting the Clutch, we're getting the Vamp, and we're getting a belt fed on the back of it for Rock and Roll to just rock and roll with that thing. I am so excited. I can't wait for this. I hope this sells really well because then that will inspire like Hasbro to start doing more vehicles like this. Plus with this body, this design, not only can we get the Vamp, we can get the Vamp 2, and we can get the Cobra Stinger. Those are some easy repaints that would be fantastic to have. The other thing I'm kind of digging is if you look at Clutch, he has his normal head sculpt, he has his standard helmet, but then he also has sort of like a modified steel core helmet where it kind of looks like he has like a fanged mouth or like tiger jaws or something on the side. I think this is really cool for a couple of reasons. One, if you have multiple Vamps and you need multiple drivers, you can just put that steel core helmet on him and make him like an army builder, just like we saw how Grunt is going to have a steel core helmet. But I wonder if that's really the intent, because I kind of like the idea that with Grunt having the steel core helmet, with Clutch having a steel core helmet, with the steel core 2-pack that we're going to be talking about in a minute here coming out, if it's not going to be something that just like the steel core is just going to be something that the Joes have, like the steel core is going to be to G.I. Joe what the Marines are to the Navy type thing. I don't know if I'm overthinking that, but I just kind of like the idea that like the army builders that come with the steel core 2-pack aren't the only members of the steel core. Like some of the Joes are part of it as well. I just think that's a really cool world building thing, a really cool storytelling thing. And I like that some figures are going to have the steel core helmets, but not all of them. Like that's just going to be really cool. Now, talking about multi-packs, one that we did get, because we have available pre-orders as well. Everything we just talked about is not up for pre-order yet. It was name-only reveals, it was exclusives that are coming out for PulseCon, or it was just digital renders, things that are going to be coming down the pipe. There are some things that are up for pre-order on Hasbro Pulse, and one of them is the Fire Team 788 3-pack. And this goes along with that SMS Techno-Viper, and this goes along with the HasLab Hiss tank that is coming out. Hold on, let me pull this up. This is really cool. I think this is great that like they're coming out with like basically accessory figure packs for the vehicles that they have coming out. Because like a fire team walking alongside a tank is a very real thing. I'm not in the military, I never was. I had family that was in the military, and I do know that like tanks rely on their infantry and infantry rely on their tanks. And I like the idea that this 788 multi-pack, this fire team, moves alongside with the Hiss tank. I love the colors that they're in, these dark reds, grays, and blacks to match the color of the Hiss tank. That's very much the same color that like the Techno-Viper was in. Sorry about the beeping. They're backing up the fire truck. I live catty corner from the fire department. So we have a very cool assortment of specialists that come with this 788 fire team. That we have the Range Viper, we have Cobra Officer, and we have Cobra Infantry. They have some specialized weapons, like they have, one of them has a rocket launcher with some really cool blast effects. I think it's Bazooka's rocket launcher with the same blast effects that are coming with the Scrap Iron drone. That's going to be really cool. And these are the same colors that the Techno-Viper are in that is coming with the SMS missile system. And something else about that Techno-Viper, that if we're getting that version of the Techno-Viper to fit in with this fire team in the red and the black, you know full well eventually we're going to get the purple Techno-Viper in like that classic purple look. So there's another figure that we can look at coming down the line. Now this team is a 3-pack. It is for sale on Hasbro Pulse. I'm not sure if it's exclusive on Hasbro Pulse, but I don't think I've seen it anywhere else. And that's going for $79.99, $80. So something like this is kind of what I'm surprised they didn't just hold off and release the original 3 Dreadnoks with something like this, with like a 3-pack for 80 bucks, bunch of different accessories, bunch of different weapons, and some blast effects. Another one that's up for pre-order, and once again, I don't know if it's only on Hasbro Pulse, but I think he's available on Big Bad Toy Store. Let me see, 1 minute here. No, he might be just up on Hasbro Pulse right now. I don't see him anywhere else. Yeah, I think he's just up on Pulse, and that is Tripwire. He has a deluxe figure for $35, and just look at all of the stuff that you're getting with him. I think this looks fantastic. I think they did a really good job of mixing the old with the new. He has multiple, like, blast harnesses, blast vests that he can wear. It looks like he still has, like, an EOD pack on him. He has the Minesweeper. He has the Rat, which I don't think that's a pet. Somebody had mentioned that military EOD specialists use rats now for bomb detection. I honestly don't know what that is all about. I don't know how they would use them like that. But if that's true, that's really cool that he's added in with this figure. And you can see, like, there is a lot of gear that he comes with that, like, one of the ways you can set him up, he basically looks like for as bad as the movie was, he basically looks like he came out of the Hurt Locker with those high collar blast vest and that heavy helmet that he wears. I think this guy looks fantastic. He has the remote drone that he can send in for bomb defusal. This is going to be a really cool figure. I never thought I would get this excited about Tripwire. I think he looks great. Also up for pre-order on Hasbro Pulse, and his release date is, according to the website, he's coming out December 1st. I think that is also when the Fire Team is coming out. Let me take a quick look at that. Yeah, the Fire Team is coming out December 1st as well. Now, something else that is up for pre-order that was not a San Diego Comic-Con reveal or a San Diego Comic-Con pre-order release is what we've been talking about, the Steel Core 2-pack. This is really cool. This is really cool for a number of reasons. One, I know there's a lot of people out there that have been wanting to army build like infantry for G.I. Joe. I've never really been into that. I'm not even into like the whole green shirts from the cartoon. I like how G.I. Joe is like these hand-picked elites. All of them have a name, all of them have a purpose. They don't really have just standard infantry. But for me, and specifically, like, if you remember when I got this guy, the Steel Brigade figure from Valaverse, about how excited I was because the original Steel Brigade, now Steel Corps, was the idea that you made your own character. It was a mail-away figure. You filled out his file card. You told him what you told the Hasbro, like, what branch of the military he came from, his primary military specialties, things like that. And mine was hard deck. He was a Navy pilot. And you just saw, I have the Steel Brigade figure from Valaverse, but this looking more like the figure I had, and now it's like the Steel Corps, and all of those accessories that he comes with. 2 jetpacks with this set. That is awesome. Let me pull this up. Like, just the amount of extras you get with this is nuts. This is a great 2-pack. It's going for like all of the stuff that you get here, all of the blast effects, the 2 jetpacks, 4 different head sculpts, 2 figures, all of that for $55. That is a great thing. I really feel that way. Like, there's just so much with that. Now, the downside is that it is sold out right now on Hasbro Pulse if you haven't gotten it yet. But it is still available on Big Bad Toy Store. All of the stuff that is up for pre-order, I'll put links in the description below. So if you missed out on this on Pulse, you can still get it on Big Bad, which means it's probably also still available on Entertainment Earth and Amazon. One is a male figure, one is a female figure. These look great. Those jetpacks look great. Like, this this is the set to have. Like, you get the 2 figures, you get the jetpacks, you get the 4 helmets. Like, if you went into army build, this is the set that you start getting to army build. And I will even be doing some modifications, like taking the shoulder pads off to make mine a pilot. I love how one of the helmets is actually sort of like a flight helmet. That's going to be really cool. Kind of reminds me of excuse me, kind of reminds me of like Maverick's helmet from Battle Force 2000. All the extra weapons you get, like this is a no-brainer. This is absolutely a no-brainer, that even if you aren't army building, you should get this just for all the stuff that you get with it. Now, that was all they had for exclusives, name-only reveals, digital renders, and available pre-orders. But then when the panel was over, they said, why don't you go back to the booth and check something out? We have another surprise for you. And it was this, Mutt and Junkyard. And this looks great. Amy said that the doggo Junkyard has 2 head sculpts, one like a good boy head sculpt and one is like a working boy head sculpt. So that's going to be really cool. I like that he's wearing the vest, like a lot of military animals, like their handlers can pull back on the vest, have the handle on it. I think that's really cool that they added that in there too. I don't know when this is going to be available. I don't know if this is like something that's coming down the line along with like the digital renders or whatever, but this was just really cool to see. Now, something else that they had spoken about, that if you look at Fireteam 788 and you look at the SMS with the Techno-Viper and you think that's really great, Mac, but I didn't go in on the HisTank HasLab, what do I care about this? Well, this is one of those things that I cannot confirm. I could not find a video anywhere where they had actually mentioned this, but I think there are people that have reported that Lenny had mentioned that along with the Vamp and the SMS, that the idea of putting out a non-HasLab HisTank is on the table. And I think a non-HasLab HisTank would consist of basically just the HisTank and the driver. And I think that's really cool. It wouldn't have all of the additional extras, all of the stretch goals that the HasLab HisTank came with. It wouldn't have the multiple canopies. It wouldn't have the lights on it. And I think that's really cool because it gives people who weren't able to afford the HasLab a chance to get the HisTank, especially to go along with all of like the extras that are coming out for it. But even for somebody like me, that I actually did want more than one HisTank, but there was no way I was going to back more than one HisTank just because of financially it didn't make any sense to me. But I like the idea that there is going to be like a lesser version of the HisTank, maybe even scaled down in size. I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what a non-HasLab HisTank would be like, but I do think it's cool that there is the possibility that that is going to happen. I also could not find video evidence of this, but somebody else had also mentioned that they had asked Lenny at the panel about the Thunder Machine, and he said that like the Thunder Machine would not have to be a HasLab, that would be another retail release. So I don't think that means we're going to be getting a Thunder Machine anytime soon, but I do like the idea that like we won't have to back a HasLab for the Thunder Machine. So like I said, I think Classified won San Diego Comic-Con. Let me know what you think. This was probably some of the most exciting things that I saw come out of Comic-Con. And that's even including McFarlane Toys finally giving us a classic Wonder Woman in the DC Multiverse line. I don't know, this is making me think I'm going to be pulling back on Multiverse and like focusing more on Joe's again, just because of all the stuff that's coming out. Like, and this is just stuff that they were talking about. We know there's going to be other stuff coming out. Like, we know there's going to be a purple Techno-Viper coming out. We know if the Vamp does well, there will be the Vamp Mark II and the Stinger. Like, this Classified is just exploding. They've been like firing on all cylinders, and I feel like they're really hitting the mark on bringing like those vintage characters and looks and figures and updating them and bringing them into the modern era of collecting. And even going into things like Helix, that was not part, I don't think she was part of the vintage line. I wasn't aware of her until like the IDW comics. But like Helix is really cool. Plus we're getting Glenda from the Dragonfly. Who knows where this is gonna go next? I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping that we'll get some new characters, maybe even ones that haven't been in the comics. Like, if they want to go ahead and just like make new characters for the line, I would be totally fine with that. Or something like Shooter that's coming out from the Walmart Collector Con. Like, I remembered seeing Shooter in the first issue and like the hand was covering the face, so you really didn't get to see it. And now like Shooter has a figure, and that's really awesome. So let me know what you think. What are you most excited about? What do you think the big reveals for Comic-Con were? Not even necessarily classified. Did you back the Ghost? Because I gotta be honest, that thing is awesome. That thing is awesome. Fully funded today, time of recording. Congratulations on that. And until next time, play well, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.